Hello, welcome to another edition of Crop Life Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj, editor of Crop Life and Crop Life Iron magazines, here again with Lara Sowinski from Texas. Laura, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, our first video in the month of June. Boy, call me crazy, but it seems to me that 2023 is really flying by. I seem to have blinked and it's like, my son is almost done with the school year and here we are in the, unofficial start of summer. It's after Memorial Day. That tends to be when everybody's planning their summer vacations and taking time off of work and hopefully I'll be joining folks on the road here in the next month or two, but we'll have to see. It may be business, who knows?
Yep. Yep.
So, hey, before we came on, I know that we were talking a little bit about some of the news of the day we want to share with our viewers, and you had a bunch of things kind of on the global stage. So I will kick this to you to start us out. So if you could, take it away.
Thank you, sir. Yes, from the Global News Desk. Honestly, the top story this week, which is an unfortunate turn of events, if you will, the Black Sea Grain Initiative is essentially stopped as of today, June 1st. 2 days this week on the 30th and the 31st, Russia registered only one incoming vessel for inspection. There are 10 vessels that are waiting right now to come in, but they're not getting the green light to come in for inspection. But overall, there are 50 vessels waiting in line for inspection in Turkish territorial waters with 2.4 million tons of food, including grain. So, this is actually a really big development. I think we were talking about it in the last day or two. Russia is unhappy with the terms and is essentially slowing things down, and in this case, actually pretty much bringing it to a halt. So as of today, June 1st, at least, I don't see anything in the media about plans for negotiation or anything to kind of break the stalemate. So that's an unfortunate turn of events. Another piece of news that caught my attention this week, China's been getting really a fair amount of rain, so much so that its wheat fields, primarily in Henan province, which is the biggest province for China's wheat production, really bad rains. According to China's state media, it's, quote, the worst prolonged spell of wet weather during harvest in more than 10 years. So they are expecting a shortfall as far as their domestic production, which of course would require more imports on China's side for wheat. The visual of this, when I read it, we were kind of laughing. I know they've taken to drying grain on school playgrounds and on rooftops, basically anywhere they could dry this grain out. So we'll definitely keep our eye on that, see how severe that turns out to be. I've got two other brief news items before I get back to you. We've been talking about AI, and I know, we have Tech Hub Live coming up, of course, at the end of July. On the program, we have an all ag retailers panel, and the angle of that panel is how ag retailers are bringing value to their customers in a variety of ways, of course. One of the things we were talking about, of course, in our team meeting this week, what is the impact and what will be the impact of AI for the ag retailers, for agriculture at large? And it really does raise a lot of questions. This particular news item from the Wall Street Journal was talking about, because AI is taking off so quickly, so fast, that there is now a shortage of the graphic chips, the GPUs that support AI, which for the most part are made by NVIDIA. Again, supply chain, right? You just can't seem to get away from it. And then I will end on a good piece of news. However, over the this past weekend, a lot of progress was made by the U.S. On the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. That's the U.S. and 13 other countries in the Asia Pacific. Quite frankly, the U.S. is trying to wean itself off of China, supply chain issues, of course, and the manufacturing, any disruption. So progress on that front. So that's the piece of good news. And I know you have a pretty big bombshell of a headline.
Well, I'm not sure if it's bombshell compared to the global stage, but this is under the heading of, in the rumor mill, if you will.
Well,
Our friends at Reuters were reporting at the end of May that, based on their sources, that Viterra and Bunge are apparently, global grain traders. They are in talks to possibly merge. It would be interesting, because if these two got together, they would probably have sales somewhere in the range of $100 billion, which would put them on par with ADM, which is their biggest rival. And again, like I say, according to the report, these are in the preliminary stages of these merger talks. But if it does happen, like I say, it'll be pretty much an interesting development in the global grain trading marketplace. So
yeah, you're right. Actually, Glencore being a Canadian company, I was looking at the Globe and Mail media to see what reports they had. And yeah, indeed, it would absolutely be a giant as far as a North American, the business that they have with, the global footprint for Glencore, especially, with their acquisition of Viterra in 2012. I mean, they're a giant. So you can imagine, as you said, it would just be a massive company if that goes through. So yeah.
Yeah. And again, the report I had didn't really give a timetable. So I mean, these talks are ongoing at the moment, apparently. And obviously, in future videos, if we have an update to share, we will be more than happy to do so.
Indeed.
All right. Well, I do have some sad news to report. I guess some of our viewers may remember a company called Anuvia Plant Nutrients, fertilizer manufacturer that had a product line called SYM, line of fertilizers. And pretty big deal. In 2021, their products were used on about 500,000 acres of farmland to provide crop nutrients for those various crops on those fields. And they had raised, about a year ago, they raised about $65 million in capital to help improve their business and expand it. But we found out on May 15th of this year, the company CEO sent out a note basically saying the company had decided to suspend operations and liquidate its assets and go out of business.
Well,
So Anuvia Plant Nutrients, unfortunately, is no more. And I know, like I say, they were a pretty big company. They had partnerships with the folks we know, Mosaic and Novozymes. And yeah, their CEO left at the end of 2022. That's usually never a good sign for a company. Their then CEO and the current CEO, like I said, sent out this post middle of May, basically saying that no, that was game over for Anuvia. So, we'll miss them, obviously, because they're one of the entrepreneurial companies in the marketplace. But I'm sure there'll be other folks out there that can hopefully take their place. So.
yeah. Wow, that is it. Was there any more news as to what prompted that? It seems like a pretty drastic move. I mean,
Yeah, it sounds like, again, they've been raising capital, and again, a lot of companies, that are starting out, they raise the capital to try to invest in, but as sometimes the capital investments, though, are just way far and above the amount of money that's brought in and raised through by these startups. And a company, of course, dealing in fertilizer, I mean, startup plant fertilizers, they can cost in the billions of dollars. So if they didn't have that much capital on hand and couldn't couldn't capitalize their investments properly, I suppose they just decided, well, we're gonna call it a day. So
Yeah, never a dull day.
never a dull day. Well, speaking of never dull, time for your favorite segment of the show. Time for fun with numbers.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, Miss Laura, this week I got a fun number for you. Kind of tiny.
Okay.
10 cents. One thin dime.
I'm already getting worried.
All right. So 10 cents. Is that A, the decline in corn futures at the end of May? Is it B, the decline in soybean futures at the end of May? Is it C, the decline in wheat futures at the end of May? Or is it D, what my son charges me for advice instead of 2 cents because of inflation?
Oh, hmm. End of May, huh?
End of May.
I'm going for A, decline in corn futures.
You are correct. 10 cents indeed is the decline in corn futures that occurred at the end of May. And actually, I ran across this report where it basically said that, we were talking a little bit earlier about weather and wet weather in China. Apparently, it's been pretty dry in the Western Corn Belt and parts of the Eastern Corn Belt, but apparently they had some rain activity over the last week or so. And because of that, folks are feeling a little better about the potential yield results. And of course, when you have more supply than demand, possibly, prices do come down. So for corn, it was only down 10 cents. For soybean, it was down 41 cents.
Wow.
And for wheat, it was down a quarter. So again, all the commodities were down. But again, things can change. I know here we're in Ohio and we haven't had rain in about 9 days. And I keep checking the forecast and it doesn't look like we got any coming in the next 7 days. So possibly this number will go back up as we move through the next few weeks. But again, as of the end of May, folks were feeling a little more confident about the crop, and that meant commodity prices were coming down.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, you had mentioned something earlier today when we were talking about the insurance.
Oh, yeah. Again, most growers, if they're going to plant and attempt to plant their fields or not, they need to make that decision by a set date in early June. To then, if they're not going to plant, they claim the crop insurance that they have on hand and basically say, okay, not going to do the planting this year. And again, that date varies by state. I think here in Ohio, it's on June 8th. They have to make the decision by, and I think most places in the Midwest, it's closer to June 12th. So, but again, I mean, from what I understood, wait a minute, I did have an item. It said that, yeah, through the end of May, about 69% of the corn was in the ground. And it looks like about 81% of the soybean had already been planted. And those numbers were just slightly ahead of the traditional averages you have. So again, I would imagine most folks that, given the way the weather has been a little drier, I'm sure they've been able to get stuff into the ground. So
do we still do seeding clouds for rain? Is that still?
I have not heard of anyone doing that. Maybe there's a rain dance or two that goes on, but I haven't heard about seeding clouds for rain. If it's dry, that's just dry. And if they can do irrigation, they do irrigation. So, but that's I remember we did do the story not too long ago where somebody, I think last year, they were trucking some water across the state of Kansas to try to get some water into the field. But that is an anomaly, a rarity. We don't normally hear about that. If the dry conditions are there, they're there, and that's that. So,
all right. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for some rain.
yeah, very good. Well, listen, congratulations on getting the correct answer again. So you're back on a hot streak. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Eric Sfiligoj on behalf of myself and everyone here at Crop Life. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below. Your feedback is important to us. We will try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.